people showing up. Those would be dead.
Who else wants a poster? Free poster.
I'm trying not to hate myself. I hate myself, but I want to allow myself happiness. But I'm trying to do it right now.
We are 15 minutes to warm up.
One more time for the very funny Mark Norman.
Jeez, hey, good to be here.
Mark, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Sorry, this is so awkward.
What's awkward about it?
Just, you know. Do you guys want to be here? Oh, okay. I thought they pulled you out of a subway or something. All right, so thanks.
You're awkward, I think.
I
maybe.
am very awkward.
They're cool. Don't worry about it.
All right. I feel guilty already that they have to be here.
Is this your warm-up act for your audience when you do stand-up?
I'm just being myself, which I shouldn't do.
Where did you come up with that title?
Every time I'm myself, I've been fired, dumped, kicked in the balls, you name it. So I gotta not do that. But I do it on stage, and it gets laughs. But if I do it in life, people get upset.
What are the things that you find you do when you are yourself?
I don't know. I think I'm just kind of numb to like social tact and norms, and I just got in trouble we did a sports show before this, and I said something and didn't even realize I said something offensive. And
what did you say?
Well, I don't want to. Oh boy. Is this okay to talk about? All right. So sorry, my aunt is here. No, but it was a sports show, and I used to be a mascot in my high school. And the girl on the show was like, hey, show us some moves. And as a joke, I was like, I don't want to show any moves. You'll get turned on and slide right off that chair. Which that was a funny line, and she was pissed. So I don't know.
Did she say anything to you?
That's when she just stopped talking and shut down. And you could tell the other guys in there were like, oh, shit, and they kind of had to pick it up,
Were like...
A little, a little bit, but they don't want to get fired,
It's not a bad joke. It just might be.
I don't see how that's offensive in any way, but that's me.
Daytime talk, be it sports or morning shows, are strange places.
Yeah, I'm sure Kelly Ripa's a real,
I think Kelly Ripa would have loved that joke.
I don't know. She seems dead inside. Wow. Oh, jeez. See, I'm being myself. It's a horrible idea. But she seems nice.
But dead inside.
Yeah, I'd love to do the show, Kel.
Mark, how long have you been working on this material before this special?
Oh, geez. Probably 4 years, something like that. Just doing the road, doing shows in the city, comedy clubs.
At what point in that 3 or 4 years did you have pretty much a special honed? Was it just recently that you honed it, or was it like a year or two ago you were like, I've got a solid hour, like let's try to get a special off the ground?
Probably about a year ago, yeah. And then I opened for Amy Schumer, and she was noticing the new material, and it was coming together, and she was like, I think you should do an hour, and if you want, I'll produce it. And I was like, sure,
What does produce it mean? Is that for when it comes to a stand-up special?
Basically, get it made. I'm nobody's special, I'm not like a name, or I don't have
reason, I think.
Yeah,
with reason.
I don't have I had a soup backstage. But so this is...
That's good. Good to know what that was. Thank you.
Tuscan chicken. But I'm not like a name, or I don't have any heat or any buzz, and straight white male, nobody wants to see that. So I think I needed a boost from like a bigger name or a real celeb, and so that helped.
Straight white male, do you think our opinions often go unheard?
Oh, wow. I think we're heard, but I think that's the problem.
We're heard too much.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of us. People always say that, like, oh, there's so many straight white males in comedy, and you're like, yeah, I know. What do you want me to do? It's like, should we stop white males at the airport? And also, what if you did that with the NBA? Like, hey, too many black guys, It's weird. I get that you're just allowed to shit on whitey. It's fun. Right? You get it.
Yeah, we get it.
This is where I'm supposed to not talk.
I dragged you. I dragged you into this one. I apologize.
No, it's all right. I could go for weeks about it, but
I only gave you one follow-up. Really, I don't know. You did it yourself.
No, I know, but I saw a tweet the other day that said, "When straight white males start talking, blender noise." Like I hit a blender and woo woo woo, and you're like, "Oh, that's funny," but you can't really say that about other groups. Then that gets weird.
Well, they haven't talked as long.
Right, which I get. Yeah.
We've had our chance.
Sure.
I don't think when it comes to comedy, if you're a funny comic, you're a funny comic. But
Right.
like in life in general, specifically maybe in politics, if you're
Politics.
a blender that
Yes.
shit as long as possible.
Totally. Politics, it's crazy. Especially with the whole like birth control stuff. They don't really let women talk. And you're like, well, it's their uterus, you know?
Let them decide what to do with it.
Right, exactly. I'm all for that. Big fan of the birth control.
Same.
I don't know why I did the Black Power, but just, I'm on board. Plan B.
How did you start opening and working with Amy Schumer?
She saw me at a comedy club years ago. The comedy club is long gone since then, and
What comedy club?
it was called Comics on 14th Street. It had comics with an X, getting wacky, and
Written in Comic Sans.
I think it was actually, yeah. And I was bombing, but one joke worked, and she happened to walk in during that one joke, and she walked to the green room, and then she said, "Hey, I like your stuff. That joke was really funny."
What was the joke?
Oh, it's a horrible joke.
Come on.
All right, it's gonna bomb. Here we go. I'm prepping you for a bomb. So it's all about the Holocaust. No. It's basically I think the joke was people use the term "I don't fuck around" a little too loosely. Like my friend was unloading some grocery bags, and I go, "Oh, wheat thins," and he goes, "Yeah, I don't fuck around." I was like, "I don't fuck around." That's a line you use if you bring a gun to a knife fight. You brought crackers. I think you're fucking around. Blah blah blah. And then 12 more minutes of the word fucking around. So I told you it would work.
And wheat thins.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good joke. I like it.
It killed at the time, but I feel like I'm a different person.
So she comes in and she says, "I love that joke." Like, and you guys just become friends, or you start working with her.
Yeah, I just opened for her at Hofstra, the university. We took the LIRR out there. I was a new to New York, never been here. I was here for like a couple months and never.
How long ago was this?
This is like 08.
So this is before her show.
Oh, she was nothing. Yeah, she was a real piece of garbage. And no, I'm just kidding. But she had nothing going on, and I watched her really blossom into a star.
What was that like? Was that just sort of like,
wild.
keep me with you, just keep...
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time she invited me into her hotel room, and she opened a laptop, and she's like, I'm going to try to sell this show to Comedy Central, and it was her show. And I was like, oh, my God. And then we would all go out drinking, and she would be writing in her room, and that was Trainwreck. So she was always working, and we were always just doing Molly, like me and the rest of the guys. So we didn't think ahead. Like, she was very ambitious.
Have you started thinking ahead, or are you still doing Molly?
I've cut back on the mall, but I'm trying to think ahead more. I'm in my 30s now, so I got to get cooking. I got to get health care.
Might not get good health care. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, I know. I got like collision. I have the lowest rung. But
Mark, how old were you when you started doing comedy?
about 22, 23.
What led you to do stand-up the first time?
Well, insecure guy, bedwetter, parental neglect. Didn't get a lot of love, so I don't know. I always sought it out, but I have such low self-esteem that I never thought I could be a comic. I was like, who would listen to me? Who gives a shit? I asked the audience what they were doing here when I came out.
Literally walked out and apologized.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a problem, and I don't know. I worked at a restaurant. I was a busboy, and some guy said, "Hey, you seem funny. You should try comedy." And I was like, who am I? Come on. And I got really drunk and tried it, and that was it. I was hooked.
How was your first time?
It was not great, but I had a yeast infection at the time. I got from a girl, and I talked about it, and it did pretty well. It did okay, but I was so green that, when you're supposed to get off, they show you a light or a flashlight or something, and I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, I must be doing well.
The one time I did stand-up, I did the exact same thing. And
Really?
I stayed on. And I didn't have any jokes planned, and I stayed on for like an extra 5 minutes, and all of the comics who were throwing the show were so fucking mad at me when I walked out. Because I didn't get it. I didn't know. They were like, we were giving you the light. And I was like, what's the light?
Yes, same here. And then they cut my mic, and I was like, well, I guess the mic's broken. I'll keep going. And then they turned music on me, and I was like, oh, this place is falling apart. And I just kept going. And eventually the guy got on the side of the stage and was like, get off, you idiot. So.
Yeah, I was so bad that they just went, you're done.
Oh,
okay.
in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. It's not easy those first couple years.
So did you have jokes planned? Did you write material, or did you do what a lot of people do on their first time and kind of like think, oh, I have some stories, I'll just get up and wing it?
I had it all written out. I wrote a whole thing on the yeast infection, and I wrote a bit on Family Feud that did pretty well. I had it all up here. Yeah.
And so from then on, that was probably like an open mic of some kind, right?
Yes.
How did you did you keep doing open mics until you started booking in actual clubs and gigs?
Did open mics for years, and then I moved to New York, and we did open mics for years.
Where did you start? Sorry?
I started in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans, and even I've done TV in New York, and I'd still have to do open mics because there's so many comics. There's such little stage time that you got to just try everything. I would go to music open mics. I would go to you could talk at an AA meeting just as long as somebody's listening, as long as there's a group. So you had to get creative.
What do you mean you would do TV but still have to do open mics?
I remember I did John Oliver had a stand-up show, and I did that, and it was like my big TV debut, and then the next night I was back at open mics.
Really?
Yeah, because there's so many comics. They don't need some new guy on their show.
Did that feel like a defeat of some kind, or does that just feel like part of the process?
That was just how it goes, I felt like. I would open for Amy at these big theaters. I used to work as a janitor, and then I would go back to work the next day, jumpsuit on, whistling and mopping. It was like I was Clark Kent and Superman. I was doing these huge stadiums, not stadiums, but huge venues, and eating shrimp cocktail backstage, drinking a nice scotch, having a great time. You come back on a jet, and then you go back to work on Monday.
Where were you a janitor?
This building on 49th on the east side, I was like a hedge fund. And they would always look at me like these guys were like, what did he do? Jesus Christ, he must be a heroin addict or he killed a guy or something. Why is he a janitor?
I'm just a comedian.
Yeah, I'm a lowly comedian. But I mean, it sucked. I had to if somebody had diarrhea, I had to go clean it up, and one time there was a possum in the aviation duct. I had to get that out. So it was a real gig. And then at night I was comic.
Were you doing comedy every night?
Every night, still do.
Still do it every night?
Every night. I got 4 shows tonight. Come on out, folks.
Where are you going to be tonight?
2 at the Comedy Cellar, The Stand, and somewhere else. I think Broadway Comedy Club.
So do you do shows 4 times a night for the cash, or do you do shows 4 times a night because you feel like, if you don't do it, you're not going to be exercising?
Yeah, it's a muscle. If you don't do it, it atrophies and you get soft. And also, it's fun to try new material. You have a thought on the subway, and you go, I think that could be pretty funny. And then you try it on stage in front of real people, and it could bomb or it could go well, and it's exhilarating. And also, let's say you're trying to learn the piano. You wouldn't just learn it. You wouldn't just do 10 minutes and then stop. You'd go, I'll do an hour or 2. I only get 10 minutes or 15 minutes on stage on one show, so I got to do 4 of them to equal any real time.
That's you can't really do anything else that night.
I don't want to do anything else. What else am I doing? We go to a movie,
I talked to a stand-up a few weeks ago who it was his first special, and he'd been doing stand-up for 10 years, he said. Mm-hmm. And he said the best thing about being able to do this special was that he could release this material from his life.
Yeah.
He was no longer going to be doing this material, and it felt like he could finally let go of it.
Right.
Which he'd been wanting to do. Does it feel like that with this special? Over the course of 4 years, you can finally kind of let go of all this material and start creating new work?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's so hard to generate good material that I'm happy with. So I'm still using a lot of this material, so I gotta step it up. I have about a new 20 minutes different from this hour. But it's hard to write new material, so I'm still using it. But it is nice to let it go. It's nice to just get it out there because you work so hard on it. But there's a part of you, it's kind of like empty nest syndrome where your kids go off to college. You're like, good, they're gone, but you're still kind of like, oh, these are my kids. I miss them. Now you're in a house alone watching, Breaking Bad. And I just like, I wish I had my kid here to watch it with me. So there is a little give and take. There's a little get out of here. But there's also I'm going to miss you.
Well, you also have things that you can go to from this that if you're
that's true
falling apart or something or you're having a bad night, you can pull from.
Yeah, your material is really it's your currency. It's all you got. And then when you're out there in Omaha alone with no friend or anything, you're just on stage and you got to fill 45 minutes. That material got you through it. So it's a real bond you have with it. Is this getting too real? All right, sorry, I'll dial up. I feel like I lost the crowd about a half hour ago. But, yeah.
I feel like if I don't talk or ask questions, you'll just go down your own whole And there's 5 minutes left. If I don't talk for less than 5 minutes, you might be in a fetal position on the floor of the stage.
Sorry. It's been a long week, and I have diarrhea. But not really. No, I just, I don't want to let anybody down.
What's your writing process like? Do you just write on stage, like come up with an idea and then get on stage and wing it and see what comes out, or do you sort of spend the day really?
I'd write every day. I hold a wooden spoon and really talk it out. I gotta say it out loud a few times in my room.
Like walk around your house and kind of do material.
If anybody could see me, it'd be pretty embarrassing. Like I'm in my underwear going, "So Jews," just alone in my bedroom. And it's pretty awkward, but it works.
Did you ever have a significant other that saw this?
I used to live with a girl, and I would have to go on the roof to write because I couldn't just walk by her being like, "Google's weird," And that was fun. It'd be winter out. I'd have 2 coats on, writing on the roof.
What's the hardest part about dating when you're a comedian in terms of the expectations of the comedian from the person you start dating or have been dating for a while?
It's tough because of the time thing. You're on the road every weekend, and it's weird because I'll meet a lot of girls at shows. They're like, "Oh, you're a comedian. That's so cool. Blah blah blah. You do shows every night. You're really passionate about it. I think that's sexy." And then you're like, "All right, great. I got to go do a show." And they're like, "What are you crazy? You leaving?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a comic." They're like, "I know, but we never hang out." I'm like, "Yeah, but this is why you like me." Yeah. And now you hate this part about me. So it's kind of a catch-48,
Is there ever the expectation that you'll be, like, funny and charming as you are on stage when you're doing your material?
God, all the time. I've had many Tinder dates where they're like, "You're kind of quiet and, as you said, shame spirally." And I'm like, yeah, that's the real us. Obviously, what I say on stage is pre-written and honed. And this is the real me,
Shame spirally. I like that.
Yeah, that's me. It's a mess. It's not pretty. Oh, jeez. Don't let me go.
No, sorry.
All right. No, I'm actually pretty upbeat.
Really, really mean on my part. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Grew up as a bedwetter, bad neighborhood.
When did you stop? Bedwetting.
Geez. What day is it? No, probably 14. Wow. So pretty late. I'd go to sleepovers and I would just stay up. And I couldn't it was like Freddy Krueger, except if I fell asleep, I'd be in a pile of urine.
What attributed to your bedwetting?
What do you mean?
Were you scared? Was it like a fearful thing as a child, or was it just sort of like a thing that you had no control over?
No control. I tried everything in the book. I remember my dad's like an old school tough guy, and he was like, no liquids after 6 p.m. And I was like, all right, geez. So I'm sitting there at 9 with my brother. He's eating Doritos and a big Kool-Aid, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm so thirsty. And that didn't work. I'd still wet the bed. Then they got me this thing where they would clip a buzzer to your shirt, and it would clip down to your boxers, and if it felt moisture, it would beep. And
Isn't that too late? Like, it beeps, but you're already peeing. You're done.
Well, it's supposed to feel a drop and just go nuts, and it trains you to, like, pinch it, But I shorted it out because I pissed all over it. It was still electronic. So I broke it. Yeah. So
did you really short it?
I broke it, yeah. I just covered it in wetness, and it's still electric. And so that didn't work. And, this is before, like, putting it in rice. That's a thing now. But, so that was gone. We tried everything. I tried pills and stuff. None of it worked.
Did you have that thing where when you're dreaming that
you're... Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have that all the time.
That was my deal.
Yeah? That works. You really think you're urinating. It feels so good. It just let go, doesn't it?
I had a year of I had to bite my lip while dreaming.
Huh.
Because if it would wake me up, apparently.
Interesting.
I don't know if it ever really worked or if I just naturally kind of stopped.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No. I still wet the bed when I black out, like on a binge. So I've peed on many a one-nighters. You were there. Yeah, so I've had some bad mornings where you have to wake up early. You're covered in piss and she's still asleep, and you're like, "What'd you do?" You're pushing her. I've had to do a lot of dry cleaning, a lot of mattress flipping.
Have you ever not wet the bed, but sort of while blacked out, peed somewhere else?
Yeah. I've done the thing where I've opened the third drawer of a dresser and peed in it for some reason, or peed in a closet. Yeah, the brain does kooky things when you're blacked out.
Molly and blacking out does kooky things.
Yeah. You wake up, you're peeing in a guy's mouth. It's a whole to-do,
Let's get some questions from the audience.
Oh, please.
I'd imagine you'd have a few at this point.
Oh, this guy jumped up.
What's up? So when you're working on new material, does it get to a point where you feel like it's done, or are you always tinkering with it?
You're pretty much always tinkering with it, because like with this special, I just put all of it down and I laid it all down, and I still do the jokes now, and I'm like, oh, I just got a new line for that. Oh, I got a new thing for that. So it's never done, but it's like 95% done. You know, it's like your house. You know, you feel like, all right, the living room's done, then 3 weeks later you add a photo or a new flower or plant or something. So you're always adding stuff, but it's mostly done. But you never know. Sorry if that was a horrible answer.
That was a good answer.
All right. He didn't
No
seem
shame
satisfied.
spiral on that answer.
All
That
right.
one was good.
Appreciate it.
Next question.
Hi.
Hey.
What are some of your comedic influences?
Ooh, boy, are these pre-written? I feel like these are pretty stock. I like Carlin and Pryor. I like Geraldo. I used to like Cosby. He's a great comedian.
I will never defend Bill Cosby, but I can still watch Bill Cosby himself.
It's it's one of the best specials.
I can still watch it.
You know, rapist or whatever, still a great comic. Just like football players, they rape people. They can still make touchdowns. You know. I can separate. I don't want to hang out with the guy, but you get it. So, yeah, Cosby, you know, Seinfeld I love. I love Louis C.K. and Bill Burr and all those guys. So.
How long did it take you to feel comfortable they say find your voice. It usually takes about 5 or 10 years, they say, for comics to be able to find their voice on stage. Did you ever feel like you found it?
No, I still struggle with that. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing.
What does that mean, find your voice on stage? Does that just mean feeling comfortable when you talk to everybody?
When you're writing, you go, oh, this is me. This feels right. This is like who I am. This is what I should be writing about. I still don't have them all over the place.
You're a very specific type of person, so I would imagine it.
Yeah, maybe I know it and I don't know it. You know, it's finding your voice is such a weird thing because it's your voice. It's right under your nose, but you still can't feel it. And I feel like I can't feel it yet. Maybe it'll come, but doesn't feel like I know it. I'm just kind of writing into the wind, and if it gets a laugh, I keep it.
Is it the difference between sort of writing for the joke and writing for yourself and finding the joke within that, if that even makes sense?
Wait a minute. I don't know if I caught that.
Well, it's like when you start doing when comics start doing open mics a lot of the time. You're doing it for comics, so you're just doing set up punchline to get 5 minutes of laugh as much as you can. Whereas as comics progress, they start telling personal stories, and finding the laugh sort of within a story that has a sort of meaning at the end of it, or a point, like Louis C.K. does or Bill Burr does.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think in the beginning you're just like, I got to laugh, great, it's in my act, and now you're like, you kind of say jokes for them to come to you. Before you were going to them, like, whatever you think is funny, here you go. But now I'm like, let me show you what I think is funny, and let's go on that ride. That's when you really become you. But I'm still so weak that I'm still at your beck and call a little bit. So I want to have a little give and take, you know.
I think we have time for one more question.
Oh, look at this guy, tie-dye. Very bold.
It's that time of year. All right, so I have a question for you.
Tie-dye time of year?
Yeah. It's like summer. All right, so I need you to help me settle this very heated debate between a couple friends and I.
All right.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh, well, I don't know who I'm going to offend here, but I don't think it is. I'm sorry. It's a bun, goddammit. Well, I guess you could have a bun on like a pulled pork could have a bun.
Can I answer that question too? No.
I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think so.
And I don't feel the need to have to defend or justify my answer.
No.
No, it's not. It's a hot dog.
You know why it's not a sandwich? Because no one says, give me a hot dog sandwich. If you said that, some asshole would bring you like sliced hot dogs on 2 pieces of white bread. That sounds awful, yeah, but it's not a sandwich, and you know it's not. You should be ashamed of yourself.
See, that's how I feel. Like, you know the answer to this.
Yeah, he knows, but he's got tie-dye on. He's trying to rock the boat.
Mark, when does the special air?
Tomorrow, Friday. Sorry. Oh, boy, my publicist is going to shit a brick. Friday, midnight, so technically Saturday morning, but Friday at midnight, Comedy Central. Don't be yourself. Give it a whirl. Work really hard on it. I'm not proud of anything I've ever done, and I'm pretty proud of this.
It's incredibly funny. Amy Schumer makes a wonderful appearance in it, and stay for after she leaves because the stand-up is incredible and really funny.
Yeah,
Mark, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for having me.